All right, in this video, we're going to start talking about how to isolate and delete backgrounds. So in my previous video we talked about layering and naming and all that stuff. And the biggest thing for when we're trying to delete backgrounds and isolate things for foreground is really essentially the selection tool. So here we have a rectangle select tool. This is an ellipse, so it's a oval or a round piece. The free select tool, so if something's like really complex, you can, I call this the lasso tool. That is something that you can use to just kind of click, 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 click all around. I haven't really dealt with the scissors select tool all that much. The foreground select tool, so in this particular case, this would be a great one for foreground. And then last but not least, the fuzzy select tool. That one is a continuous region on the basis of color. So it's just going to depend on how you have this. Now, me doing a simple basketball, I'm going to do the circular tool. Okay, and it's just simple that way. But if you wanted a foreground piece, you could definitely do that. Because you can clearly see that the basketball's in the foreground and everything's in the background. I could potentially do the fuzzy select tool. I'm not necessarily in love with it, but we're just going to go ahead and click our circular tool, and we're going to frame around this ball. And you can click and drag these edges and corners and tops and all that stuff to shape around. Okay. And the one thing that I want to make sure of is you really do want to do a good job, and you'll see these little lines here. So that is what I call them ants, marching ants, or ants marching. So when we select something in GIMP, we're actually just selecting an area. We're not actually selecting the ball. I know that sounds weird, but for the most part, it's something that we're going to have to get used to, because when we do these layers, all we're doing is selecting like frozen spots on there. So once you have your object that is ready to go, you're going to go ahead and hit the Enter key on your keyboard. You'll notice that the tool goes away. It's still live, but the tool itself goes away. And then once I've hit Enter, you got to go up. And you'll notice now, on the edge of my entire photo, you'll see it's kind of hard to tell, but there's a black and yellow dashed line. Watch what happens when I go select and invert. So right now I have, before I hit invert here, I have the ball selected. And if I did anything, the ball would disappear. But what we want is we want everything but the ball selected. And we want to make sure that is chosen, and then delete everything else. So by inverting that item, you'll now notice that there are marching ants around the edge. So in fact, when I press my delete key, I'm keeping the ball and discarding everything else. So your little delete key is right next to your backspace, or your backslash, and it's right above your left arrow key on your keyboard. And you'll notice that that disappears. Okay, so when you get what you want, the best thing to do is hit select and none, so you can stop, make sure you're not selecting everything, and all that stuff. So now I have my basketball. It's all ready. If I turn off my background, you can see that it's the ball itself, and that's about it. Okay, so that is one way you can do it. If I were to go ahead and do a different way, I could do it. So if I go Control Z, okay, all right. So let's say I want to do the lasso tool. I can hold Shift plus to zoom in, and you can do the lasso tool. In this particular case, I wouldn't recommend it, just because the lasso tool typically has straight lines, and the fact that it's a curved piece, but I'll show you just in case. So you just basically click around this object that you have, and then when you get back to your spot, you'll notice that this glows like orange or orangish yellow. Okay, that's another way. So I'd hit Enter, go to Select, Invert, Delete. Okay, so those are two different ways. Obviously, you can see the edges and stuff that I didn't have with the round tool. That is something that you can definitely do. If I wanted to do the fuzzy select tool, I can do that. And the moment I click on something, I have to hold down the Shift key, but you just click on all these continuous. Remember, it's continuous. The problem with the fuzzy select tool is there's a lot of shading in all of these images, so you can see it's lighter here, darker here. It does not really think about that. So watch what happens. You're going to get like kind of an abridged, cut off type of ball here. Some spots will be missing, but right now I'm just holding the shift key down. I am selecting. You can kind of tell how it's seeing a little bit of the right colors. Okay, so this I wouldn't recommend if you can do it normal way. Definitely something to think about. So, okay, so once I'm done, I'll hit enter, select, invert, delete. And you can kind of see how those all holes, it just doesn't work that well. So in this particular case, that idea of using the circle is probably best. Okay, so that's how we use the tools. And in the next one, I will show you how to continue on.